Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. It is time once more for some weekly painting progress. And yes, as always, progress has been made, and we've got, well, quite an obscure assortment of things here. I've been busy. Of course, I will wholly admit that almost everything that you're about to see has been sitting in front of me for weeks, if not months. Like this young lady who looks like she smeared her makeup there. That's what happens when you get a nice close-up of some of these models. She is from Great Escape Games. They've got their new Dead Man's Hand starter set coming and some interesting goodies there. So kind of that seems to be the theme this week is like I noticed there's a lot of stuff kind of coming up, really interesting stuff, and I'm like, let's go finish all these companies' models so we can mention it and point people in the right direction. Because that's what I like to do. Sometimes people haven't heard of this stuff. And I mean, I kind of take it for granted just being inundated and surrounded with this stuff on nearly a daily basis. So, you know, who am I to judge and who am I to say what people are familiar with? It's my job to educate. I am an educator after all. Veteran educator. So, got to do my part, right? Anyway, she's a plastic model. There is more plastic stuff coming from Great Escape. If you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, it is a little bit smaller than your average model from like Flying Frog, using an older model here. But I mean, if you want just a variety of townsfolks that are up in arms, I don't think you can really go wrong with either set that they've put out at this point of plastic figures. And I mean, fingers crossed we see even more just to get a nice variety of stuff. And this stuff actually pairs really well with both Stargrave, Frostgrave, anything from North Star, really, if you want to get really funky with your plastic kits. At the very least, those heads are a great opportunity to goof around and play with like, I forgot where I was going with that. Frostgrave, North, I don't, any of those games. War Games Atlantic, even. My Wong Fei Hong here I made. So yeah, that's her. She's been sitting there in various states of unpaintedness. Let's see what else we got here. This Comet Lord Gunslinger or Inquisitor or something like that. I liked the pose, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with it enough, but I did try to go with a very Devil May Cry style red and black theme. Did I miss a spot there? It looks like I kind of missed a spot in the folds of his jacket. For shame. I did actually paint his face. Not that you can actually see it really with the way the shadows work. The color of his jacket and his hat just kind of in the way. So Comet Lord had actually taken a bit of a hiatus from the monthly grind of Patreon, but actually has some new projects coming up. In fact, he's got a Kickstarter pinup project, and I mean in various states of dress and undress for those of you who are into that kind of thing. But there's some really nice looking models, so we'll put a link to that. And obviously, at least at this moment, it hasn't started, but it should be starting up soon. So take a look. You know, I always put those links, and I know people click them because I have the analytics to prove it. So yeah, do check that stuff out. All right, other projects coming up very soon. I'm waiting for this one personally to get started. This is an old Adamant Arsenal, if I can get the words correctly out of my mouth, from, what was it, The Vile and the Damned or something. Adamant Arsenal goes crazy, and I mean literally crazy, when it comes to making various bits that are totally modular and compatible with everything else. So they made some really cool knights way back when, brought them to Kickstarter, made even more knights, did some Frontier stuff, made even more crazy parts for like chaosy, messed up guys. And now they're coming back with another batch of even more Armored Core looking mech kits that are superposable and modular, because why not, right? I mean, everybody's all in Armored Core 6, and I know my brother just mentioned to me that there's like 30-minute mission kits coming out now. That's kind of cool. Anyway, this is like more of a Chaos Lord type. I don't know. I think this is like from their like hero bits. I don't even know where the sword part. There's a ton of just go look at Adamant Arsenal's supply. Unfortunately, these are all 3D printed. I have had a horrible habit. I had piles of this stuff, and I love to just give it away like candy to people. Here's a whole assortment of things. Let's see what you come up with. So I know some people have shown me their fruits of their labors, and they've been quite interesting and exciting. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Adam and Arsenal stuff, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot of weapons, a lot of heads, a lot of bodies, a lot of everything. Basing bits as well. That's where those swords came from. So he's been finished. This lion from Titan Forge. So he was part of their Light Elves release, or whatever they're called. I don't know. They've been going into armies that I just haven't been as interested in. And I mean, that's not really fair for me to whine about, because I mean, I know every time they do like a samurai themed set, I'm all over it. But I tried to do him in very light elf colors, and unfortunately had this big, huge, nice misprint there. I did try to paint his other eye, and I just could not figure out how to cover his face with the bandage. I don't know why I used a light blue. I probably should have used kind of that off-white that I used on all of his other straps. That would have made more sense. I am kind of happy with the results on his hair of his mane, though. The rest of it, it's adequate. I mean, it's not going to win any awards, not that I expected it to. But he's painted, and at least from a distance, you know, I think it stands up okay. He's not too big, not too small. Well, I guess with our Great Escape lady. Dead Man's Hand Girl. But wait, there's more! So I've had this model sitting around for some time. This was the Iron Maiden, I believe she was called, from Bestiarium. Oh no, I broke one of her little spikes. How sad. Yeah, this has been a fun one, having to handle with her spikes everywhere. And yes, I did break some. And I broke all the little tassels that were supposed to be on the edge of her cape there. I thought I did a nice job of making it very dark and trying to brighten it up a tiny bit. Obviously, the results are a little bit better in person, but, you know, she's painted at least. Now, there was a 54 millimeter. Was it 54 or 75 millimeter? There's a big version of her available as well that looked really cool and had like one of the Flame Priest looking dudes from Elden Ring kind of accompanying her. Let's see what else we got. I don't know what this guy's official name is, but he is my unofficial Rangers of Shadows Deep Conquest figure. And I'm pretty sure those are actually little pieces of support resin on his hammer that I was supposed to clean out. But yeah, this guy, look at that. Look at the look he's got, you know. I didn't even have to paint the shadows. They're just naturally kind of casting over his eyes there. And he's a good looking model, I think. Obviously, being aware of the size of a Conquest model is probably an important thing to note. They're a bit large in comparison to, like, GW stuff. But, you know, what is GW stuff even in comparison to size-wise these days? Now, he's a little bit bigger than a regular Conquest human, but they have, like, their whole Blood of the Heroes thing going on, giant folk. Now, he may not be as big as some of the Wadroon, which are, like, the kind of orc-ish type race for Conquest. I'm looking for some other humans just to prove my point here. Yeah, I mean, he's a big dude. But I guess if you're going to play Rangers of Shadows Deep and you want to have a larger-than-life hero, that might not be a bad idea, right? I mean, obviously grabbing a, like, WizKids human here, or like a Mantic human, you can see there's going to be a significant difference in scaling, or like our Great Escape games, Dead Man's Hand lady, she's barely up to his waist. So these are large models in comparison to some of the other stuff out there. Now, granted, if you have lots of Conquest models, well, that shouldn't be an issue at all. And speaking of Conquest models, I went around to finally finishing up the Exeggutor plastic kit. And he's a lot more pale looking on camera than intended to be. He's standing on the brute clone head there. So here's the original one. I know I have it because I made sure to pull him out. And of course, now that I say that, I have no idea where I put him. There you are. Okay, now, I didn't even have this guy handy. So it's interesting to see that The style that I was painting him in is somewhat similar. You can see the newer one is a lot brighter. I think just in every possible way. I toned down the golds. Kind of interesting to see that I kind of did something very similar. I didn't even know where this guy was. I found him this morning while looking for something completely unrelated, and I like tore apart the room that I usually film in and was trying to reorganize things, and then I stopped doing that because it was a futile attempt. One of these days. That's like, if I ever take off months at a time and I'm not somewhere else for like summer break, maybe I'm going to sit down and actually go through all these figures I've done over the years. I mean, this isn't a bad pose and it's not a bad figure. I actually still really like it. Obviously, this one is a lot more dynamic in terms of both how he is posed. The details are pretty sharp considering this is plastic, whereas this guy is resin. There's just a lot more detail to be had. I mean, even like looking at the headdress, you can see it's very plain and simple here, where it's a lot more ornate. There's lots of just little things all over him. His arms, very simple. Again, much more detailed and embellished. Both have their, you know, pluses and minuses. Personally, I like the more detail on this guy, but, you know, this guy really works too. Best of both worlds, own them both, right? And paint them completely different. That's what I did. And finally, rounding out models that I've had laying around that needed to get done, we've got this young lady. I don't remember what she's called, but I can tell you for a fact that she is one of the last cast resin models that I got from Creature Caster. Obviously, before they started their Patreon stuff, of which they've had some really neat releases. I've posted a couple myself if you want to do some searches here. In fact, I know some of those early Creature Caster videos I put up have gotten quite a few views over the years, but those are really good kits too, so that's not that surprising. She was a challenge in just, look what's going on. I mean, there's just a lot to do here. The sense of movement with this girl is crazy. And keeping everything attached and glued on is just as crazy. It is a miracle she has survived being painted by me. I think I pinned her to the base. I don't even know, and I don't particularly want to really test things to find out. She was painted with a mixture of stuff. I'm not super satisfied. I feel like she's a little too red for the skin. But maybe that's just me. I mean, everybody's got their own opinions. But then I was thinking, you know, I grabbed an old plastic, what were these, the succubi? Out of the way for a sec, lady. From Mantic. This is like from the second Kings of War. Abyssals, that's what they were. I think this is like their second Kings of War Kickstarter, which was, again, some time ago. So you can just see the difference in skin tones here. Maybe I should have gone with a darker color. I don't know. I can't make up my mind. You guys are more than welcome to share your opinions. I'm always curious. I'm always curious to hear your guys' opinions. But yeah, overall, I think maybe I just need to go back over her with some kind of like a stronger tone, because the skin just doesn't feel like it. That was a weird edit. The camera accidentally just bloop, beeped out of filming. I'm not going to blame myself, because obviously I would never do such a thing. Anyway, as I was mentioning, we will have links to all this stuff down below. Once some of these campaigns start, we'll put those links in there too. And hopefully, if I'm not busy with grades or children or job stuff or union stuff or any stuff at all, then maybe I can actually post some of this stuff on social media as well. If you guys want to get a hold of me, that's probably the best way, or just drop me a line on the channel, email, whatever. It's all there and available. But, yeah, I will try to be posting this stuff with that weekly painting progress hashtag whenever I get around to it. And you can see a nice spread of colors there, even though I feel like I predominantly just paint all in the same color usually. But nice little spread. Hopefully we'll see some stuff from other family members next week around. Hopefully everybody has an enjoyable Halloween. I know we're gearing up for that ourselves here in the States and probably everywhere else as well. And hopefully you are going to be having some fun models to paint likewise. With that said then, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities of Miniatures saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.